um, the thing is, um, that's what prevents us from improving things spiritually in this world, is this know-it-all attitude, this self-righteous attitude, this attitude that that creates a situation where we cannot advance further or improve on where we are at spiritually. Now you say, why would we have to improve? Well, are you satisfied with all the people starving in this world? Are you satisfied with all the abuse in this world? Are you satisfied with the violence, with the fact that we have so many serious problems caused by our technology? Are you satisfied? Are you happy with where we are right now? Or do you think we need to make a change? And doesn't change start on the spiritual level? Doesn't it? And if you have autocratic type spiritual belief dominating the world, wouldn't that hold things back? Autocratic type energy tend to maintain the status quo. It doesn't tend to improve things. It doesn't tend to make things better. If you want to make things better, you have to change the way you've been doing things. If you keep doing things the same way, you're going to end up getting the same result. If you have the same type of spiritual energy, you're going to get the same result, because the spiritual underlies everything. And it is powered by emotions. Emotions and desires are what it is important to get control of. It's the out of control desires and emotions that are causing the immaturity spiritually in this world. I'm a spiritual ascetic. And I am a spiritual pioneer. I've been so for over 30 years. I've been outside the box. I have been ignoring traditional beliefs and developing my own. And I've been on a survival level, which means that, like a pioneer, you have to deal with the fact that things change all the time, that things are constantly, what I mean is when you're a pioneer, the energies, I mean, you're dealing with the unknown. You're dealing with things that are hard to figure out. So you have to have that. And you're also being threatened all the time by things that are dangerous, things that are hard to deal with. So what you have to do is you have to be on the survival level, and you have to figure out, how am I going to deal with all these things that are going to hit me all of a sudden and going to push my limit, push me to the edge, and I got to figure out how to handle it. You're going to be traveling in new territory, and you're going to run into things and challenges and obstacles that will push your limit and would destroy you if you didn't have the resiliency required. When it comes, so one of the things you have to be very grounded in the hard reality around you. You have to have that strength, because when you're challenged, you have to have the toughness to handle the challenge, and the toughness comes from the physical, it comes from the earth. So it's very important to have that kind of ability to deal with change, to make adjustments when you get in trouble, to be able to quickly figure out a different way, a creative way to deal with it, a new way to deal with it. Forget about what people have done in the past. Remember it enough that you can have it as part of your options, but we're willing to go outside the box whenever that seems to be required. So that comes with being a spiritual pioneer, not being locked in. And so many, and as I say, the world is so locked in spiritually. Even the New Age people are locked in spiritually. Everybody likes to be in the same mindset, follow the herd, follow the flock. And we got to get out of that. We got to move beyond that. We need to develop a sort of self-reliance, a sort of spiritual independence. A pioneer, when they go out and cover new territory, they're on their own. They have to be self-reliant individuals, or at least be a self-reliant small pack of individuals. But so often, when you're covering new territory, you're exploring new things, you have to be able to rely on yourself and not always be dependent on somebody coming there or finding somebody back you up. And that's what's so important in the future. Spiritual maturity has a lot to do with being responsible for your conduct and being self-reliant and being in control of your emotions and desires, um, having that control over yourself, so that can help you to handle situations that any kind of emotion or desire that is that takes you off target or makes you less healthy will mess you up. And you don't have a lot of leeway when you're pushing the edge. When you're pushing the edge, you have to do things really well, really efficiently. And you cannot have all this delusional or wayward energy or the desires that make you do things that threaten your well-being. And so many people do things in this world right now that threaten their well-being. So it's so important to have that self-reliance, to not be locked in, to be willing to look at and explore creative ways to deal with situations so that you can advance further spiritually and cover the new territory that's involved in advancing further spiritually. And some people say there's no new territory out there. Well, we once had people believe in the flat earth where you fell off the edge of the earth and there were monsters there. And they confined themselves to only the known. Well, we have a universe out there that is infinite. And we have to understand that, and we have to always look at things in the direction that there's new territory to explore, new ways to improve, and to do better than we're doing. And we have to understand how important it is to always be looking to go where to improve and to get better, because once you stop having that attitude that I'm going to do better, that I'm going to improve, and that I'm going to go someplace and develop something new, once you lose that attitude, you stagnate. And once you stagnate, then that's harmful to you spiritually, because what you need to do is always be firing yourself up, always be striving, always be moving. I just started a running program recently. And I'm on my 4th day. I'm 65 years old, and I was off running for over a year. But I'm on day 4, and I'm only doing 3/4 of a mile a day, but that's enough. I don't have to do things by the usual training program. I use my intuition, which is well trained, because for most of my life, I've had to depend on the spiritual and my intuition, so I've trained it with the technique I've developed. That my techniques, which I developed, that are different than the ones that are out there, because I made them to be different, because I want them to be better, and they're not going to be better if they're not different. If they're the same, they're going to get the same results, as I said before. You have to. I believe in having high standards. And that you say you shouldn't be a perfectionist. Well, you can aim to do the best you can, and that's sort of like being a perfectionist, but you're not going to reach it. But that doesn't matter. You just strive to do the best you can, like an artist trying to do a masterpiece. That's so important. And we need new spiritual pioneers. As I say, the world is not doing that well. We can do a lot better. And I mean, some people just have this attitude, as long as I'm doing all right, it doesn't matter. Well, the thing is, reality tends to intrude. You can't keep a bubble. You can't protect yourself from reality. We have crises regularly in this world, and reality will intrude. Hard reality, hard, solid reality will intrude. And if you have delusions, or your spiritual theories are not connected enough with the hard, solid, physical reality we're with, then you won't have the solidity, the strength to handle a really challenging exposure to the real world outside of yourself. It's rough, it's tough, it's challenging. It's so easy to go into yourself and live in some type of world where you don't see clearly the outside reality and the challenges out there, and you live in your bubble. But bubbles pop. You can't always hold a bubble. You can't always live in a fantasy. You have to deal with the real world, and the spirituality should deal with the real world and the real world problems, and not be thinking about something elsewhere, or thinking of some kind of place where they're going to escape to that's going to be blissful. Well, you got to make this world the best it can be. And you don't, I'm afraid of blissful states. And the reason I'm afraid of blissful states is because I'm afraid that they're going to get me disconnected from reality. And they often do. They put you in a fantasy world often. So I try to stay clear of that kind of energy and keep myself well grounded. And one of the things I was talking about, my meditative exercises in the last video I did. One thing you have to do when you're doing it, if you go in an altered state, you better make sure your feet are well planted in the ground and you walk very carefully and with a very stable stance. Because we're dealing with a physical world, and when you get, the more you get into a spiritual state, the more grounded you have to be. That's how it works. And if you develop too much, if you develop more spiritually than you are grounded, then you're likely to go into some kind of delusionary world, because your spiritual energy is going away from reality. It's going away from the physical earth, and you're going to fall down. You're going to lose your balance. So it's so important to be grounded. And as you develop yourself, you do use the spiritual techniques. You deal with you develop the spiritual theories that help you to get connected with reality a lot better. You will develop your intuition, the meditative techniques that I have, and dealing with crisis, and the vigilance required, and the spiritual focus you need will help you to develop your intuition. And then you have to utilize your intuition, because when you're a pioneer, that's what keeps you alive a lot of the time. You have to sense danger. You have to sense what's going on when you don't really know what's going on. And that's where intuition comes in. And you have to develop that as a body awareness, because body awareness has a lot to do with sensing things around you. You've got to get the gut intuition, the sense of what's the energy around you. It is picked up on a physical level, and then you have to sense that. You have to feel it. You have to have a oneness with your physical being, because that's where the oneness starts with. Spiritual oneness starts with oneness with your body, with yourself, with your biology. So that's what's so important. And so the main thing is we do need more spiritual pioneers. We do need more people willing to venture into places other people do not dare go. We do not all have to be like herds of animals that all do the same thing. We don't all have to be factions. We don't all have to be part of a tribe. We can just be individuals that are part of humanity. And we can develop ourselves to be self-reliant spiritually, and we can all become spiritual pioneers to some degree, or at least pay attention to the spiritual pioneers that are out there and pick and choose what you can gain from them and utilize it as your own. In other words, you can still act as an individual. You don't have to be the person developing everything, but you can be picking and choosing from what's out there and making it your own and being willing to venture forth. So the subject of this video has been spiritual pioneers, and basically Positive Vibes Enterprise is trying to be an organization that has a pioneering spirit, and that's what it's all about. We need people. We need people badly to become part of this. It shouldn't be me alone, or me and Michelle, she's on vacation. It shouldn't be just the two of us doing videos and stuff. We need more people. We need you to become part of this. And I'm really serious about this. So please Thank you for watching this, and please subscribe to this video. This is Positive Vibes Enterprise. Thank you very much.